Darn it. I started slacking. I have missed quite a couple of Monday video uploads. It's so hard. I didn't know making YouTube videos can be this time consuming. I mean, I try, I really do, but sometimes I just rather sit on top of a sofa in front of a white wall and be contemplative.
Okay, so let's see if I can do this. So I want to draw sort of a military truck vehicle that's carrying a big gun on itself. I know, very original. I did a little bit of pre-sketches for that, just a little bit of exploration. I started out with something nonsense. I was like, okay, let's do that. I just had an idea, and usually I explore sometimes longer, but I do have to leave in an hour, so I want to make this short. And also I do like exploring ideas while sketching. So I thought let's just do that. Let's not do too much pre-sketching. Let's jump right into it. And I do have a whole couple of Pinterest boards open. A couple for vehicles and some guns as well. But what I'm trying to make sure that I don't do is that I don't copy an exact vehicle or an exact gun. Also, no, I don't copy an exact what is it? Position. So the position of the vehicle is quite a bit different from what I'm drawing. I just really wanted this vehicle, sort of these really rough-looking, tough military vehicles. And as you can see, I'm still exploring the shape a little bit. I had that shape there, but I didn't define it exactly for the purpose that I can play around a little bit and see where I'm gonna go with this. As always, I start out with a super light marker, and this is, I think, just a 1 value warm gray marker. And I just try laying down the main big shape. So I try not to focus, even though it's hard. So in my head I'm always gliding towards detail. I really should try and not focus on any detail. And now I lost a little bit of the perspective I wanted to do. But okay, so be it. I hope it still works out. It's supposed to be something. I wanted to go a little bit more Scott Robertson-y with it, so these slightly rounded perspectives. So then, okay, so this would be the cockpit. Then let's say there's some engine room. So there's a lot of these vehicles are set up like this. And then here we could have some sort of I'm just gonna first draw through it so I see the shape of the vehicle. So I didn't want to do missiles. Missiles are a little bit boring. It could be some sort of giant anti-radar, not anti-radar, sorry, anti-air or something like that. But it's always interesting. So I like switching between different. So this I go back to the fact that I didn't quite sketch this one out. So there's still a lot of exploration. I try not to do too much detailing. That will have its place as well. Now the thing is, if I want this to be able to rotate, I have to watch out not to make it too big and bulky. And this would be sort of a radar dish. And then this, maybe, see, I should have had some extra space for it. What if can I squeeze out? So what I was thinking right now is, what if I have an extra little vehicle that gives this an extra battery life, and then this would be some sort of orbital defense, mobile orbital defense platform. Yes, I think that will work out. So yeah, anyways, let me also do a little bit of housekeeping. I've been very slow lately when it comes to posting online. I don't know, I just had a slow streak and I felt like a little bit burnt out, and I just didn't want to overwork myself. Didn't want to come to a point where I just post just for the sake of posting. So I decided to take some time off, and well, now I felt like doing some traditional work again, and also just doing stuff that I like, which is obviously very, very sci-fi stuff. But yeah, so sometimes it's just good to take a break, I feel like, because it's really easy to get into the habit of posting for the sake of posting, or drawing for the sake of posting, and I think that's really not good if you just do art for the sake of posting stuff on social media. And I feel that's why I was also a little bit burnt out. But I had some great ideas for future videos, because quite a couple of you have been asking me about online tools for industrial design. And while I'm not sure I am the best source for information about that, I have been, well, not butting necessarily into problems, but industrial design is quite, how should I put this, sought after profession, because it is really fun. It is extremely fun, you have to admit it. But it is also sold sometimes as something that it is not by universities and people at universities, which is not necessarily a bad thing, and it's not. I'm not trying to say that universities deceive you or people deceive you about industrial design, but industrial design is not exactly industrial design. And I'm saying that because I'm thinking about doing the interview series where I want to use this title. And since I studied industrial design and I know quite a couple of people, well, former colleagues, former study mates who studied industrial design, and I thought I'll try and see if I can get a couple of interviews. But then the interesting point is that most of these people don't really work in industrial design, or don't really work in the traditional sense, what we would have thought might be industrial design. So might be interesting for you guys, at least I hope. I'm going to do a trial interview to see what the reception for it is. And just jumping back a little bit to the drawing, I'm not sure I like, so it became a little bit short. I feel I could have made it a little bit longer, and then added sort of a power source here, but I can also just add maybe a resting area for the thing. Anyways, let's switch to, I would say, let's switch to the fine liner. And this already became quite dirty here, so this is going to be dirty. Everybody complains about I should use lighter markers, and I agree, I probably should, but yeah, I am sort of I do have a dirty style, so that's that, I guess. And this is also interesting, switching from marker to the fine liner, because sometimes I want to work a little bit more on the geometric shape, just to expand it a little bit more, and sometimes I want to jump straight into detailing. So it is finding that nice balance. But yeah, usually I feel that it's quite beneficial if you go for the big shapes here as well. Well, it's not that I feel that it's beneficial, it's technically that's what you should be doing, because you should never jump straight into detailing. It's just, we like that, don't we? Because that's the really fun part of drawing, jumping straight into the details. There, I made the wheels a little bit smaller. That's why I also wanted to add another wheel and make it a little bit longer, because the whole truck felt a little bit too short and too stocky, and I didn't quite like that. Okay, wheels are always fun. They don't always come out great, and I feel I use too many lines for them, but I just, you know, it's those automatic lines that sort of your muscle memory remembers, and it just really relaxes me, at least, doing these half circles or circles. Damn, English, it's a hard language. But yeah, back to what I was saying before. Wow, I'm rambling, I'm sorry guys. But yeah, so I really thought it would be beneficial for many people who are interested in industrial design to see all the possibilities that you can end up by studying industrial design. So I am planning to interview, well, more people, but I would say let's start with one or two. Let's see who I can get for an interview. And these are not famous people, as I said. These are just former study mates and friends of mine who sort of work in industrial design field, but I don't think so. That's the thing, when people talk about or see industrial design, especially on social media, YouTube and Instagram, you just see the industrial design sketch and you think, oh awesome, that's industrial design. And not really. I mean, yeah, there's so much more behind it, and there's so much more you have to think of. And sketching is like, imagine you have a toolbox in which you have a hammer and all sort of screwdrivers and whatnot, and then sketching is just one simple tool in that box, and you are the industrial designer that has this toolbox, and you have to use many tools, not just sketching. But sketching is usually the fanciest one, and the one that really catches people's eyes. But so during my studies, I had guys coming to industrial design from mechanical engineering, and basically almost throughout, other than the mandatory sketching course, they almost didn't do any sketching because they did everything with 3D. So it's really what sort of tools you like and what sort of tools you want to use. And just because you're like really good with a hammer, let's say, if you're a construction worker, you still have to learn a whole bunch of other tools that you will want to use. So yeah, that's what I would like to at least try out. Let's see what I can do with that. I'm not fantastic at interviews, so I like doing stuff that I'm not that good at, because hey, I'll learn, you know, and I'll get better. So the not downfall, but the downside is that might not be the super best quality in the beginning, so I really have to sit down and think about questions that are valuable. So, oh, sorry. So with that, maybe I'm going to do a call out for it, but it would be really helpful for me if you also ask me what you want to know from people who studied industrial design, and I'm going to see what I can incorporate. I wanted to keep this straight, but I'm going to move it a little bit now because my hand is just really not comfortable trying to hold. Okay, so basically at this point I'm still sort of ideating, and you can see I'm becoming more rougher. So at this point I decided, screw it, this is not going to be a super clean line art at all. So I went into exploration mode, which means that I'm really loose with my fine liner as well, and I'm not trying to be necessarily super crisp, which is sometimes good and sometimes bad, because I always have that the thing when I saw a person's art and they are super crisps, I just get angry, like, why can't I do that? Why do I have to draw double lines and triple lines most of the time? But I don't think you should beat up yourself over other people's drawing styles, because you should sometimes just do whatever feels comfortable, and in the end you can still have a pretty nice outcome. But yeah, I sort of ran out a little bit what I want to say, and I feel like if I continue I'm just gonna keep on rambling, and I do not want to ramble in this video, so I'm just gonna be quiet and maybe speed this up a little bit, because there's not much interesting thing happening, I think, for you guys here anyway. Oh yeah, before I do that, one thing, I just noticed that I'm cannibalizing my own drawing. I've been doing actually a very similar drawing, just digitally, where I have sort of an exploration rover war machine sort of thing that is in the garage and is being refitted and upgraded and stuff like that by a whole crew, and that had also sort of a thing like this. So that's where I have this the idea of, let's just have a cable run down and run to a different machine that is feeding this. So a little bit of self-cannibalization, but I would say that because the other machine is a little bit more, I think that was a little bit more sleek sci-fi vehicle, Andromeda, Mass Effect Andromeda got me the inspiration, I think, for that. So what sort of an interesting exploration vehicle that would be. And this is a pure military machine, so I say I'm safe. I'm not gonna copy strike myself for that. But yeah, okay, there you go. There's the rambling. So with this, I'm gonna call this that for talks. Well, at least I'm not gonna talk anymore. Hope you guys enjoy this. Please watch to the end. Subscribe to my Instagram if you would like to see more sketchy updates, and subscribe here as well if you want to see more content like this. I'm always trying to make more and better content for people who follow me and are interested in drawings. But with all that said, I hope you guys enjoy this and wish everybody a great week. See you folks next time. Bye bye.
calculations are correct, when this baby hits 88 miles per hour,